Hello everyone and welcome, it's Shanna. Now in today's video we're going to be making 7 cards and we're going to be using Kendra's Card Challenge and the Dear Santa kit. If you watched my live last Sunday, we made the first 8 cards of the 15 from Kendra's Card Challenge, and I'm just kind of running through them right here to show you. And we've got lots of different designs using the sketches that are included with Kendra's Card Challenge and using the various pieces from the Dear Santa kit. And you can really crank out some fast cards and really make them look great if you've got a card kit and you've got Kendra's Card Challenge. So today I'm going to be doing 9 through 15, and I've got all my sketches already cut and ready to go. I've got them in these little cellophane packets, and I'm just going to pull them out. We're just going to get to assembling them. So this is sketch 9. I'm going to get my panel turned, my card base turned in the right direction so that I don't glue it down upside down. And we're going to get to assembling the sketch similarly to how the sketch is on Kendra's guide. So on this video I did zoom in because I wanted you to be able to see, and then I'm kind of hanging out at the bottom of the screen. So I do apologize for that. I'll move up on some of them and then down on some of them, but I wanted to go ahead. I had said on my live that I was going to finish this set up, and so I wanted to go ahead and finish it up and go ahead and show it on my channel. So this one calls for some rectangles, and you're just going to layer these up. I got some glue on there. I'm going to bring my rag in and just clean it up before it dries, and we'll get these positioned on here. And we're just going to bring in some of the contents from the kit and just embellish this. I'm using the pattern paper from the Dear Santa 6x6 pattern paper, and I didn't cut these according to the cutting guide. You can take the cutting guide and use just 6 pieces of pattern paper and create all 15 cards, but I wanted to be specific about what paper I was putting with what, so I cut each of these individually. It's a little bit cumbersome, but I wanted to do it so that I could have the color scheme that I wanted for it. So this one just calls for a couple of strips of pattern paper that you're going to lay down on here. I should have laid it on the green before I glued the green one down, and that way I could have trimmed easier, but just bringing in my scissors and I'm going to trim it off. I'm going to eyeball this, and then I'll just snip it with my scissors and just cut a little edge off there, and then we'll get it laid down on here. So Kendra has a new set of 15 cards each quarter, and she releases them. You have to be a member of her Patreon to get them. It is a free membership. She also has paid memberships in which you can get a lot of different bonuses and stuff. I was on her design team for a long time and enjoyed that, and then just recently needed to take a break from it. So I'm going to get the last little strip laid down on here, and then this is how the design with the pattern paper is laid out. It does call for some circles, like half circles for this, but I decided to just bring in the embellishments from the Dear Santa kit and lay them down on here, and then this will look very similar to her sketch that she has laid out. We've got some rumbling in the background because we've got a storm brewing here, and so if you hear the rumble, that's what that is. And so I'm just going to get this all kinds of merry puffy sentiment laid down on the front of this for my design. And then we're going to bring in a sentiment for the inside of the card as well so that we can finish this off. And so I've just got Merry Christmas, and I'm just going to get it laid down in there. With each Christmas card that I've made this season, I am adding the sentiment to the inside so that they will be all ready to go. So we're going to go on to sketch 10. And sketch 10 has got several different pieces of pattern paper that you're going to pair up. And so I've used the Christmas bulbs, the plaid, the solid green, and then another pattern for this particular card. And we're just going to get them layered up. I've actually got the polka dot paper that I'm going to use on the top of it. So you're just going to layer these 4 different pieces of pattern paper together. And so I chose patterns that I thought would coordinate nicely and try not to be too busy. So I'm going to lay this plaid right up next to my Christmas ornaments that appear to be in on a tree or on a wreath or something like that. And I'm going to try carefully to get it lined up nice and straight, and then we'll just move on to our next one, just cleaning up the glue with my rag as I need to. Now this is just a green pattern paper that kind of has a little sparkle pattern on it. And I thought it was solid enough, it wouldn't be too busy. And then we've got the real light polka dot pattern. And so I thought these paired nicely together. And then for this sketch, Kendra has shown just a actual, like a 2 3/4 inch circle and a 3-inch layer, and then a couple smaller circles on there. And so I'm just going to bring in It's the Most Wonderful Time of Year circle from the Dear Santa kit, and I'm going to layer it on a larger die cut circle in which I've got the gold that was included in the kit, and I've dropped it on there. We've got some glue, so I'm going to bring that rag in again and clean it off, and then we'll get it laid down on there. Now for my additional 2 circles that this sketch calls for, I'm just going to bring in some bulbs. I've got some bulbs that I thought would coordinate nice, and it looks good because we've got the bulb pattern paper. So I'm going to bring them in. I'm going to bring in some gold twine and add some ribbons to those, and then I'm going to lay this sentiment on the inside, and that'll finish off this card. This is called Delivering Holiday Cheer, is what this sentiment says. And so now we're going to move on to our sketch 11, and this one calls for 5 different pieces of pattern paper, and they're all different colors. And so I've just chosen 2 pattern papers and for the strips, and I've got them taped together. I chose the same pattern paper for the back layer that I used for the strips, just to kind of keep some uniformity and not introduce anything else that would be busy. And you can barely see it anyway. It's just peeking out behind this panel. And you can see I've used some of my best ever craft glue just to hold those strips together so that I wouldn't have to fight in getting them lined up on camera to lay them down. I just taped them up so they'd be good to go, and I could just add some tape to the back. That's just a quick hack you can use when you've got these strip pieces that are on her sketches. So I'm going to bring in another piece of that red. It's kind of a pinky red color, and I'm going to lay it down according to the sketch, and then I'm going to bring in one of those poinsettia acetate embellishments that you can add on to the Dear Santa kit. And then for this one, I'm going to add a sentiment that says Sending Joy, and that'll be what we have on the outside of our card. And then I've got the number 25. I thought I had some room to add some other stuff, so I thought I'd add the 25 there for December 25th. And then I'm going to bring in some embellishments. I've got Happy Holidays that I'm going to put on the inside of the card for my sentiment. And then there are some embellishment gems that are included in the kit. And I'm going to bring some of those in and lay those down on the front of the card. I'll show it to you, and then I thought, wait a minute, I should be using those gems. So I'll grab some of those and bring them in, and we'll just bring in a little extra interest. Now with this, you got some red glitter gems, and then some plain red gems, and then some white gems. And I'm just going to bring in the white. And they're dimensional. They've kind of got like a crosshatch pattern on them, so they're real interesting, and they add, some good sparkle. So I'm going to put 2 up top, 1 down at the bottom, and then that will finish off this card. And this is sketch 11, and then we'll be moving on to sketch 12. And this one is interesting. When I saw the sketch, I thought, ooh, I've got that washi tape that was an add-on to the Dear Santa. And this one has 9 rectangular panels that you're going to lay down on it. I'm going to modify it. I'm going to put more than 9. I actually put 11 on here just because I want to fill in, and I want to use some of the washi tape pieces that go landscape instead of all horizontal. So I'll start out doing the portrait style washi tape pieces, and then I realized that I'll have to repeat too many patterns if I just continue to do that. So I'm going to lay them down, and then I'll lay some landscape ones down, and we'll actually have extra rows, but I think it kind of follows the sketch enough to be considered okay, because you are allowed to kind of change it and make it your own a little bit. Now I'm going to pick a couple of these up and down and try to get them laid on here even. I'm trying to line them up. I could have brought in a ruler, but it wasn't that important. I thought I can just eyeball it and get it laid down on there, so that's what I'm going to do. And so I'm going to try to get this one again, grab my tweezers, and just try to get it lined up better. and then give it a press. And then I think I wind up going down to the bottom and adding them, and this is where I'm kind of hanging off the bottom of the, I'm kind of out of the view there. But I thought, well, I do the top and then do the bottom and then kind of backfill. And so I'm going to get 3 laid down here. And then those inside rows, I'm going to switch to the landscape stamps that I'm going to lay down on there. And so here we go. We're going to get these. I'm going to go 2 underneath this, and then I'll do 3 in the next row and just kind of fill in. And I thought this was kind of a fun way to do this sketch, giving the materials that I had from the Dear Santa kit. I just thought this was a super fun way. And there are actually some stamped pieces of ephemera that are included in the kit. This washi tape is an add-on, but there are some images very similar to this that are in the kit that you could use for this particular sketch if you wanted to. So I've got all of these laid down on there, and then the sketch that Kendra has calls for kind of a embellishment in the center there. So I just brought in the special delivery Merry Christmas from the North Pole. I thought that was fun to go along with the stamped images. And then for the inside of the card, I'm going to, actually, as I was tearing off those portrait style stamps, I was laying the landscaped ones aside because they were ripping, you know, they were pulling apart. And so I had them laying on the edge of my desk, and I decided instead of wasting them or having to leave them hang out on my desk, I would just lay them down on the inside of the card. I still have plenty of this tape left, and then we'll just add some interest to the inside of the card. Now these will be great for the outside of your envelope. When you go to mail your Christmas cards, you can seal your envelope and then stick these on there. So I just added the Sentiment Holiday Cheer to that last one, and then we're going to move on to the next one. This is Sketch 13, and it calls for 3 fairly large circles with a design, and I'm going to bring in some pattern paper as well for this. So we're going to just lay this green cardstock that was included in the Dear Santa kit down, and we're going to bring in some of our mirrored gold cardstock that was included, and I'm just going to layer it up, and then we'll add the pattern paper pieces that are part of the sketch designs. And I think this one's really pretty. It comes together nice, and we've got a variety of pattern paper on here. So what I'm going to bring in for this is I'm going to bring in the cardinals on the green, and we'll lay it down on there, and then I've got some red snowflake pattern paper that'll pair nicely with this. So we'll just get it glued up and get it laid down on there. And you can see the reflection in the mirrored cardstock there. I did this actually very early in the morning. So I'm going to lay, I did the live video Sunday night, and then I had all of these prepared. I wasn't sure how many I'd get through. I got through 9 of the cards, or 8 of the cards on the video, and then I had 9 through 15 left. And when I got up the next morning, Monday morning, I went ahead and assembled them and recorded it. So it was very early, and that's probably why I'm not really thinking about the camera, because I probably hadn't had enough coffee. So for the circles, I'm going to use these circles that are included in the kit. We're just going to layer them up, and I'm going to bring that It's the Most Wonderful Time of Year back in, and we will pop it up and put it in the center. And I think these pair really nice together. So I'm going to bring in some foam tape. We'll get this popped up and get it laid down. And then I'm also going to bring in an additional sentiment for the front of this card. I just felt like you could. And so I'll grab another sentiment. I got to straighten that up. I got it crooked. So I'll use my glass mat to try and help me to keep it straight. And then I'm going to bring in Joy to the World and put it at the bottom. And then we've got that card finished off. I'm not going to bring in any embellishments or anything for it, but for the inside, we're going to bring in Merry Christmas, and we'll glue it up and get it laid down on the inside of our card. And we've just kind of continued with that red that we've got on the inside of that one. So that is Sketch 13. We've just got 2 more to go. And I'll actually kind of mix up the next 2. I got, I don't know if I had them out of order or what, but I wound up laying both of them similarly to how 14 should be. I did 2 of them very similarly. So this one here that I've got is actually 15. I got them out of order, and I'm just going to get it laid down on my card base, making sure I got in the right direction. This card base was scored kind of wonky, and so what I'm doing is lining up the corners, and I'm going to bring in my bone folder and just press it and get it straightened out so that I've got a nice fold and it's not laying kind of crooked. And so we'll get this panel laid down on there. This calls for 2 pieces of pattern paper, and then I brought in some mirrored cardstock, and we're going to get it laid down on here. And I'll lay it down correctly first, and then I look back at my sketches and I'm thinking this is 14, this is not 14, this is actually 15. So I'll rip it up and I'll turn it on the diagonal like 14 is, and then I'll lay the panel down according to 14. So I'm going to have 14 and 15 kind of laying similarly. This is where I've got confused, and I'm going to go ahead and take my 15 sketch and turn it like sketch 14. And then I'll lay that panel down just like sketch 14 on this, and we'll get it embellished, and then we'll come back in and we're going to do 15 very similarly to this, except the pattern paper is different because it was a different sketch. So, but it'll work fine, and I think I can get away with it. So this is just one of the frames that's included in the set, and it had the sticky on the back of it, so I pulled off the release paper. I'm going to add joy and magic is all around on the inside of that. And then for this, I'm going to bring in one of the cardinal acetate embellishments that you can add on to the kit. And it's got some dimension here, but it presses down nicely inside your envelope, so it goes in an envelope nice, and then it'll pop back up when you pull it out. And then for this one, I'm going to use the glitter red gems and lay them down on there. There was a little bit of glitter on the cardinal, and so I thought these red glitter gold gems would pair nicely with that. So that noise is the storm alarm that's going off in the house, so I apologize for that. And now we're going to actually move on to our sentiment that we're going to add to the inside of it. And I'm just choosing Happy Holidays, and this was a tag, and it had like a little circle where you would add some string or ribbon to it, and I'll just bring in a gem and lay it over the top of that and cover that up. And I'll just position that gem right over that circle. And now the town's storm alarms are going off. Our weather radio went off, and now the town storm is I don't know if you can hear it. I can hear it off in the distance. But anyway, we'll get some glue laid down on here because this little gem didn't have any sticky. I must have left the sticky on the sheet. So that'll finish off sketch 15 that I've got out of order and I've laid incorrectly. And then we'll go back to sketch 14. And so we're going to have one that looks very similar to it. I'll realize what I've done here now that I'm looking at it, because sketch 14 just called for just a solid piece of pattern paper. It didn't have like the strips like the other one did. So I've got this pink cardstock. I'm just going to lay it down on there, and we'll bring in our pattern paper and we'll get it laid down on there. Now I just got a phone call from potential spam. So we've got all of this. We've got storm sirens, storm radio, and spam calls coming in the middle of this voiceover. So I'm looking at this going, what did I do? This is where I figured out that I had the sketches mixed up. And so I'm trying to get this lined up because I've got a little bit of an edge peeking out on there, a little white edge, and I thought I've got it on there crooked. And so I'm going to lay it back down, and then I'll realize my panel must be off a little bit, so we'll just trim it off and straighten it up because you can see that little white hanging out there. I'm still trying to fix it, and I'll realize it's just not going to work, so we're just going to have to trim it off. So I'm going to lay this panel down on there, and I'm going to lay it on the diagonal again because this is actually how 14 should look. And give it a press. And this is where I bring my scissors in and just kind of clip that off there. And then I'm going to bring in this rectangular piece that the sketch calls for. And it actually has 2 pieces of pattern paper that you lay on here. But I decided to bring in a tag and then some embellishments. So I'm just going to bring in this pink tag. I'm going to layer it up. And again, sorry that I'm off the camera, but I'll hopefully pick it up so that you can see it. I'm going to bring in some foam and just pop this up a little bit. And then we'll get it laid down on our card base. I put some foam on the banner pieces that are hanging off there too, so that they don't get bent. And then we'll get it laid down on there. It's funny, the storm seemed a little bit more busy before the alarms went off, and now that the alarms have gone off, it's gotten pretty quiet. So I've got this laid down on there, and I'm going to bring in a sentiment that says believe in the magic and get it laid down on there. And this was chipboard. And then for this one, I'm going to put Santa Claus is coming to town, because we've got on the nice list, and so that assumes that we've got Santa going to bring me something for Christmas. So next I'm going to bring in some more of those gems, and we're just going to embellish this. The sketch actually calls for 3 gems up here in this corner, just like this. And so I'm going to get them laid down on there, and this is how sketch 14 is. We are going to quickly run through all of our cards here. I'm trying to get them to where you can see them now. And I think they turned out really nice. And like I said, this is a quick way to add to your Christmas stash. I've got a set of 15, these that I made today, and then the ones I made on my live yesterday. So I've taken some pictures, and here's my 15, and here are the cards that we made today. And I think they're super fun. It was super fast. I've got a wide variety of sketches, and I've got a set of 15 completed. If you like this content, I've linked up a playlist that you can check out.